The story takes place in a forest where a couple is present with their newborn child. The wife questions her husband if he really meant to throw the child away, to which he agrees, reminding her that he's a troubled child, that is, in other words, no better than a disaster. When his wife argues that it's only a coincidence that his hair and eyes are black, the husband mentions that having black hair and eyes is exactly the reason that he's a troubled child. Lastly, he reassures his wife that he loves his son as well, but a disaster could fall upon their town due to him. Eventually, the wife agrees as well, and they leave their child in the forest on his own. It's been a few years since that day, and currently, a party of 4 adventurers is making their way into the forest. Just then, they notice a small, adorable monster roaming around with a fruit that is worth 20% of a country's budget. Before long, the monster tries to attack them, but luckily, the leader, Karma, manages to block the attack. Sen then counterattacks by attacking it with fire, magic, and tumor, then shoots an arrow towards that monster, piercing its body and ultimately dealing with it for good. Following that, they pick the 3 fruits that the monster was carrying and decide to head back before they get clipped by an actual monster. Suddenly, all of them then notice a boy standing nearby, on the branch of a tree, staring at them. They instantly recognize him as a troubled child, and at the same time, the boy notices the corpse of that monster, asking if they are the ones who eliminated it. Karma agrees, telling him that they are ranked adventurers who came to find the jewel fruit. In reply, the boy says that this is his territory and tells them to hand over the fruit and leave if they wish to save their lives. However, none of them take his words seriously, which makes the boy wonder if those fruits are more important to them than their life. Furious, they decide to attack the boy, and seeing that, the boy starts reciting a spell. Karma tells his comrades to attack before he finishes his recitation, and just like before, Tumor fires an arrow towards him. But to their surprise, even though the arrow went past his body, the boy remained completely unharmed. Following that, the boy summons a spirit, and Sen asks everyone to take cover. She plans on attacking the boy as she's unsure if her attack will even work on a spirit. With that, her attack envelops the boy with flames, and she figures that he must be as dead as her dating life. Tumor also adds by saying that Sen did right by eliminating him, as he was able to dodge his arrow. But just when they are about to leave, the smoke clears out, and they witness the boy standing there, completely unharmed. The spirit tells the boy that he doesn't need to hold back anymore, and realizing that it's a talking spirit, the 4 of them figure that it must be a high-level one. The spirit reminds them by saying that they tried destroying their home and taking the lives of their family, letting them know that they won't be getting out alive. Knowing that they won't be able to beat a spirit, Karma tells Tyses to take out the teleportation stone, as they need to escape. However, as soon as they take out the stone, the boy mentions that he won't let them escape and stabs her with his hand. The remaining 3 start to freak out after seeing this, when suddenly, the spirit appears behind Sen, asking if she knows how it feels to be burned. With that being said, she grabs Sen by her head and turns her into a rotisserie chicken. On the verge of demise, Sen crawls towards Karma, asking for help before eventually passing away. Tumor starts to panic and begins running away while screaming, but to his shock, that boy appears right next to him, telling him not to scream so desperately. As a last resort, Tumor pulls out a pocket knife and tries striking him down, but the boy easily grabs Tumor's hand and breaks it. After that, he grabs Tumor by his neck and chokes him to death. Now, Karma, being the only one left, questions why they eliminated them even when they lost their fighting spirit. The boy asks Karma if he would have speared that monster if it didn't fight back, and reminds him that its demise was inevitable since they were after the fruit. Annoyed, Karma asks if it's wrong to slay a monster, and the boy says that he doesn't mind since the strong shall eat the weak. But if Karma were to sell those fruits, more adventurers would have come searching for the fruits, which could have harmed the boy's family and home. He and the spirit consider adventures dangerous, and even though he gave Karma a choice to leave, he didn't listen. Finally, the spirit tells Karma that he will be meeting his friends soon and burns him as well. After that, she comes up to the boy, calling him William and letting him know that she burned the other bodies as well. William also thanks the spirit, Hinori, for her hard work and asks her to go home without him. But she refuses, saying that it's hard to be alone with William these days and suggests walking home together like they are on a date. After hearing this, William offers to escort her to their destination, and with their arms linked, the two of them return home. A few years back, a spirit named Sadia woke up and found another spirit, who first apologized for the interruption and informed Sadia that the spirits in vigil had found a human baby boy. They were scared that those who found it might harm the baby, so they decided to bring the baby back and let Sadia decide what to do with him. After hearing the whole story, Sadia steps out of her room and arrives in the room where the baby is present. There she finds many spirits gathered around him, waiting for their turns to hold him. Jenny, the spirit who informed Sadia, shouts at those spirits for making a fuss, and in reply, they argue that they can't help it since the baby is so cute. After that, she gives it a try, and as soon as Jenny holds the baby, she screams in excitement. Nonetheless, she comes back to her senses and apologizes to Sadia for the commotion. But to Jenny's surprise, Sadia is already as red as a tomato and keeps repeating how the baby is an angel. This prompts Jenny to remind Sadia that the baby is still a human, and after hearing her say that, Sadia gets furious and mentions that there's no way such a cute little thing came out of those humans whose face cards are in the negatives, as according to her, he's most likely an angel disguised as a human. In the end, Sadia decides to take care of the baby, and Jenny lets her know that no one else might want to take care of him. Just then, several of the spirits speak up, reassuring Sadia that they are more than happy to take care of him. However, Sadia asks them to be quiet as she is going to be the one taking care of the baby. When Jenny reminds her that being the empress, she already has a ton of work to do, Sadia begins to sulk while the others continue to argue among each other. Annoyed, Jenny yells at them to cut it out, saying that if they all wish to take care of the baby, then just take care of him together. She further adds by saying that the baby's life is not something they can play with and needs to be taken seriously. Luckily, they find it to be a good idea since the baby might turn out to be a flexible person after being raised by many people. Back in the present, William and Hinori are on their way back when some of the spirits recognize them and gather around to greet William. They start to complain about how it's unfair for Hinori to go out with William on her own, and she replies by telling them that it was William who summoned her. Hinori further tells them that she even let him sneak a touch or two, which he really seemed to enjoy. Nevertheless, William tells Hinori that he will be going to inform his mother about what happened, while she decides to tell the whole village about his brave action, and also the date, of course. On his way to the castle, William is greeted again by many spirit kids who ask him about the game they will be playing today. William agrees to play after he reports to his mother and continues his walk towards the castle. Ultimately, he arrives and enters the throne room where Sadia is present. He informs her that the intruders are taken care of, and instead of saying anything, she gets up from her seat and instantly jumps at William to give him a hug. Concerned, Sadia begins to inquire if he's injured or hurt, but William disagrees and reassures her that he even eradicated all the traces around the village. Upon hearing this, Sadia takes a sigh of relief and mentions that if William were ever to come back injured, she might go crazy. Eventually, Jenny reminds Sadia that she needs to hold her feelings back, at least in the throne room, and says that William still has more to report. Having no other choice, she sits back on the throne and compliments William, reminding him that if their village is located by humans, they'll invade them immediately. Since William prevented such a disaster from happening, he should be proud of himself. William lets her know that he doesn't deserve such honor and gets told to take some rest for now. With that, he officially ends his report and lets Sadia know that he's home by addressing her as mother. With a smile on her face, she welcomes him home, and just like that, he does the same with Jenny and Miney, the spirits standing next to Sadia. Consequently, he leaves the castle, thinking about how he will not allow anyone to lay a finger on his friends, family, or village. Meanwhile, in the middle of the forest, a group of bandits managed to catch an elf and were excited to see the reward they might receive. Their leader promises to give his men a fair share, but only if they somehow make it out of the forest alive. Afterward, he kicks a giraffe who was kidnapped as well, prompting the elf to yell at that man. He lets the elf know that, unlike her, the giraffe is a failed product, someone whose life is worthless. He then goes on hitting the giraffe, screaming at her for not having hunkers at least the size of a watermelon. Enraged, the elf curses the man who threatens to sell the giraffe to some escort service. Having no other choice, the elf sits back down and apologizes to the giraffe. Before long, the bandits get busy talking to each other, and at the same time, the giraffe notices a snake creeping closer. The following day, William and Hinori are training together, and while she uses her wings to fly around, William follows her by hopping from one branch to another. Eventually, she attacks him using her burning feathers, but instead of panicking, William lets out a smile and uses those burning feathers to leap towards Hinori, managing to grab her from the back and restrict her movement. After struggling to free herself, Hinori eventually gives up and admits she is defeated. She then talks about him stepping on her blaze feather, and William adds the fact that she always keeps her distance from the opponent, so he thought getting close to her would surely make Hinori panic. Although she is already aware of this weakness, Hinori never thought he'd use such a clever move and mentions how she's a failure as a sister. But to her surprise, William pats her head, asking how he is supposed to protect her if he stays weak. Since she always protected him, William lets Hinori know that now it's his time to protect her. Simultaneously, another spirit named Sadia appears, teasing William for trying to pull a baddie out in public. He reminds Sadia that she's the one who taught him to express his feelings through words. Nonetheless, Sadia apologizes to Hinori for interrupting their date, saying that she needs to borrow William for a moment. Afterward, Sadia informs William about the mercenaries who usually enter the forest, and while they usually ignore them, the same can't be done now as they have captured an elf who is contracted with a spirit. If the spirit knows about the village, then the contractor must know as well. She further adds that this is the perfect chance to take them down and asks William to summon her once they get there. Confused, William questions why they can't just go there together, to which Sadia replies by saying that she won't feel his warmth if he doesn't summon her. Hinori agrees with Sadia, telling William that their power is determined by how much love he gives. However, William argues by informing him that it would be a round-trip date if they went there together. Upon hearing this, both girls are beyond shocked as they never thought about this. While Hinori believes that it's not a bad idea, she still wishes to be filled with William's magic. Nonetheless, William asks them to stop messing around and promises to summon Sadia once he reaches the destination. Additionally, he tells Hinori to inform Sadia, to which she agrees, and after asking Sadia to take care of William, she leaves. Later that day, William takes a position at the perfect spot and finds out that there are a total of 12 mercenaries and 2 hostages. Letting even one escape would be a problem, and attacking them now would alert the people around the forest. So his best bet is to lure them deeper into the forest, but William is also aware that he will need to eliminate them all if he fails. Soon after, the wagon comes to a halt, followed by the leader's order to prepare for battle. Just then, William comes out of the shadows, reassuring them that he is not an enemy. The leader instantly recognizes William as a troubled child, but the others argue that such a person can't be in the forest and figure that he must have colored his hair. One of the mercenaries then steps up, asking William what he wants, and threatens to eliminate him just to stay stealthy. But William lets him know that he has a request that seems to be related to their job, and after hearing this, the leader asks his men to hold on and asks 3 of the mercenaries to surround William. Then the leader asks William to tell him about the request, and to start things off, William first shows a bag filled with jewelry worth more than their sorry lives. He then offers them to check it themselves, and after taking a closer look, the leader figures that this amount of jewelry is worth the same as the elf. Following that, he asks the men surrounding him to back off, and with that, William introduces himself as a summoner and asks for the leader's name. The leader also introduces himself as Reed, a slave trader who paid the mercenaries to be his bodyguard. Ultimately, William starts talking about his request and asks Reed if he's interested in spirits. When Reed agrees, William informs him that he is very vulnerable when performing a contract and would like them to escort him throughout the process. As a bonus, after William finishes his contract, the mercenaries will be free to do whatever they want with the spirit village. Curious, William questions why he is not asking his fellow summoners for help, and gets told by William that people are restless about the forest, and they all refused his request. Since the forest is said to have taken out a whole A-rank party, William understands that Reed would be wary. Furthermore, he also informs Reed about his powerful partner and offers to even show it to him. When Reed agrees, William ends up summoning Radia and introduces her as an earth spirit. Just then, the elf uses an attack named Aqua Bind on Reed and goes for William as well, but just in time, Radia appears and protects him. She then yells at William for telling them about the village, and William lets him know that he doesn't care as long as his contract making is done. Reed asks William to seize the elf without injuring her, promising to give him a reward for it. But William refuses to take his reward and asks him to just escort him until he manages to make the contract. Hearing all this, the elf loses her cool and tries attacking him once again, and this time, William asks Radia for help. She uses a skill named Ground Prison to trap the elf in a jail-like structure. William reminds Radia that they can't take her along if she uses a cage like this, asking her to just tie her limbs. Reed then thanks William for saving them and mentions how he is surprised that the elf broke her handcuff. William informs her that the elf's spirit is pretty strong, but since Radia is stronger, she won't be getting away this time. With that being said, William asks Reed to escort him now, and he agrees, commenting on how they could become good business partners as well. Reed then asks his men to treat William with respect, and while some of them start to praise William, the rest are too down bad to get their eyes off of Radia. Following that, Reed goes inside the wagon and tells the elf that she will pay for getting ahead of herself. Moreover, he plans to decide her punishment once the trip is over, and tells the elf to be mad at herself for doing something so stupid. As they continue traveling deeper into the forest, Reed notices that there are no signs of monsters appearing, and figures that it must be thanks to the spirit William brought along. Eventually, they stop after finding a good spot and get out of the wagon. Hopeful, Reed starts to think about how he can become even richer due to William's powers, while William informs everyone that he will be starting the contract ritual. With that being said, he summons Radia once again, and this time tells her to eliminate them all. Suddenly, a giant snake made up of clay emerges from the ground and starts devouring all the mercenaries one after another. Meanwhile, Reed, who is standing afar, seems confused about what just happened and wonders if William did something. He then remembers what he told Radia and realizes that William planned to eliminate them all from the start. William then walks up to Reed and starts to stare into his soul, causing Reed to freak out and ultimately pass out. William starts to wonder if he died, and Radia mentions that Reed seems frightened of him. Furthermore, she compliments the expression that was on his face just now. And although William doesn't really care what other people think, if Radia says that it's good, then he believes it. Now that they have dealt with the situation, William shifts his focus to the elf and lets her know that it's all right now. He then apologizes for tricking her and asks the elf not to do anything stupid as he is going to untie her. As soon as William removes the handcuffs, the elf instantly checks up on the giraffe, and after taking a closer look, he realizes that she's more roughed up than a motel's bedsheet. The elf explains that they call the giraffe a failed product just because her airbags aren't inflated enough. Afterward, William picks the giraffe in his arms and decides to take her back to the village since it's better than just leaving her in the middle of the forest. Moreover, he tells the elf that she will be coming with them as well, and if she doesn't, he will eliminate her right here and now. After the elf hesitantly agrees, William asks Radia to take the elf with her to the village after taking care of all the corpses. Knowing that it could be dangerous if the giraffe's injuries aren't treated soon, William decides to head back first. Giraffe gets surprised seeing him take interest in anything other than spirits and agrees to his request. After reaching the village, William is greeted by Hinori, who seems curious about the girl he brought along. William promises to explain everything later and asks her to report the situation to Sadia. Following that, he puts the giraffe on a bed and begins treating her using his magic skills. Eventually, the treatment works, and seeing her sleep reminds William of himself about how he is different from everyone else as well. Just then, Sadia comes running into the room and tells William that he can't bring a girl around and put her in bed, as it's still too early for him. William reassures Sadia that this is a misunderstanding and says that Radia will explain everything once she returns. Additionally, he asks Hinori not to intentionally say something so ambiguous to create a misunderstanding. This prompts Sadia to scold Hinori, and she mentions that she only did this to see William's panicked expression. Sadia agrees, saying that she wants to see more of William's expression. Simultaneously, Radia returns with the elf in her arms, who asks Radia to be more gentle as she's being too rough. Upon hearing this, everyone starts to look at Radia with suspicious eyes, forcing her to reassure them that nothing happened. Nonetheless, she then throws the elf to the ground, who, after coming back to her senses, starts to wonder if this is the place where spirits have lived since ancient times. William figures that she must be worth trusting after seeing how she acted during the raid, but makes sure to remind the elf that she'd be done for if he catches her trying to betray them. Furious, the elf shouts at William for talking like that in Radia's house, making him flick her on the head. While the elf rolls on the ground in pain, William promises to explain the details after the giraffe wakes up and tells Sadia that he will call her back once the preparations are finished. Sometime later, the giraffe wakes up and finds herself lying on a bed. Scared, she tries running away but gets stopped by William, who asks her to calm down and reassures her that those mercenaries are gone now. The giraffe then asks William about her elf friend, to which he replies by saying that she is resting elsewhere. After that, William tells her to take off her clothes, which comes as a shock to her, but the giraffe ends up agreeing to his request. Moreover, he promises not to hurt her and asks the giraffe just to close her eyes and think of something else if she doesn't like it. Flustered, the giraffe agrees, and with that, he instantly takes off her clothes and suggests going outside, making the giraffe wonder if he wants to plant his seed under open skies. Nonetheless, she follows him without complaining, and before long, they arrive near a small pond. Suddenly, William takes off his shirt as well, and after picking her the giraffe, he throws her into the pond. As expected, the giraffe starts to panic, and William asks her to calm down as it's hard to wash her if she resists like that. She then questions if he's not going to do the deed with her, and William refuses, saying that the two of them just met. He further says that having a body before one's body is ready is bad for both the body and the baby itself. This makes her ask about the reason he took off her clothes, and William questions if she always takes a bath with her clothes on. Nonetheless, he begins scrubbing her hair with shampoo, and when she inquires about this certain thing, William informs her that it's a medicine to clean her hair and body. After he's done washing her hair, William decides to move towards the body, asking her to come closer. Even though she insists on letting her wash her body on her own, William refuses, saying that they need to hurry as his family is waiting. Once they are done, William gives her a set of clothes to wear and asks those little fairies in the air to release their magic carefully. Before long, the giraffe notices those fairies flying around William and gets surprised by the fact that they are willing to show themselves to a human. Not only that, but this is her first time seeing such a gentle expression on the face of a human. While the fairies clean the pond water, the two of them hurry back to the room where all the spirits are present. As soon as the giraffe sees her elf friend, she instantly runs and gives the elf a big hug. Now that everyone is settled, William introduces himself as the son of spirit empresses and asks the two of them to introduce themselves as well. The elf starts by thanking William for saving her from those people and lets him know that her name is Meldina, an adventurer traveling to various places. The giraffe also introduces herself as Cornelia, but William also wants the third one to tell them their name, saying that it's only right after he went through the trouble to save them. Eventually, the water spirit contracted with Meldina appears and praises William for being able to see her even when she has cast invisibility on herself. At first, she thanks William for saving them and then introduces herself as Miss Leo, saying that while she's now a spirit, she's just an evolution of a fairy. Once they are done with the introductions, Sadia mentions that she understands how hard it must have been for them and believes that the spirits can trust them about their existence. Furthermore, she comes up to Cornelia, telling her that there seems to be a problem with her magic circuit. William adds by saying that he noticed that as well and asks Cornelia if she has ever had a high fever in the past. When she agrees, William informs her that he had it too in the past, saying that if a body can't handle the fever, that person usually dies. However, even if that person survives, the magic circulation is still disturbed, which results in the body getting easily exhausted and affects physical growth. Curious, Cornelia asks how William seems perfectly fine, and he lets her know that this disease can be cured, and in his case, the spirits helped him recover. Cornelia further says that when she woke up, she felt way better than usual and was told by William that he had already cured her magic circuit, and she won't be easily exhausted now. After hearing this, tears start to form in Cornelia's eyes, and she shows her gratitude to William for helping her out. Following that, Sadia asks them about their future plans, telling them that while she can't grant their every wish, she could help them out as much as possible. Meldina mentions that she still wishes to travel around as an adventurer, and Cornelia agrees as well. Sadia then tells William that she wants to grant their wish, but they can't just let them return to the outside world. But an easy fix is for William to escort and protect them on their journey moving forward. However, Sadia still asks William to stay alive and come back as soon as possible. William accepts her orders without hesitation and decides to depart tomorrow morning. As soon as everyone leaves the throne room, tears start forming in Sadia's eyes, and before long she begins to bawl, saying that William is going to leave her. Ultimately, the next morning arrives, and William prepares to say his goodbyes to all the spirits. They all promise to protect the village for him and ask William to return whenever he wants. After thanking everyone for their help, he leaves, and while traveling through the forest, a monster tries to attack him, but William easily manages to deal with it. This comes as a surprise to both the girls, and Cornelia mentions how William is really strong. Miss Aaliyah also praises him for taking them down all alone, and William informs the girls that he used to fight the monsters since he was in diapers and knows how to handle them well. This makes Meldina wonder why he didn't eliminate the mercenaries, and he lets her know that their existence wasn't a threat to his family, as they would be a burden for travelers who enter the forest. But on the other hand, if he let them go outside the forest, the existence of the village could be exposed. Following that, he asks Hinori what she's doing, and having no other choice, she is forced to get out of hiding. Since this is the first time William will be going out of the forest, she decided to escort her little brother out of the forest. While William is okay with that, he makes sure to remind her that it's her turn for today's patrol. Upon hearing this, Hinori begins to panic and reassures William that she asked Radia to take her shift. Later that day, Cornelia's body starts feeling hot again, and William decides to treat her again, promising to do so until she's fully recovered. He asks her to feel the circulation of the magic he transfers to her, as it will help her understand her own magic circulation. Furthermore, William advises her to learn about physical strengthening as she wants to go on a journey with Meldina. Just then, Hinori interrupts, saying that at first glance, it looks like William is doing some unethical things to her. Cornelia gets flustered hearing this and reassures Hinori that he's just treating her. Following that, William offers to teach her the basics of battle and physical strengthening if he wishes. Although she might not be able to beat the monsters in this forest, William is sure that she will be able to do it soon. Cornelia instantly agrees, asking him to teach her if that doesn't bother him. Cornelia is aware that she's a burden to everyone because she doesn't know how to fight, which is why she wants to become stronger. Furthermore, knowing that she has decided to learn from him, Cornelia wants to find a proper way to call him, and Hinori suggests calling him Oshi-sama. Cornelia seems to like this name and asks William about it, but he doesn't really seem to care about what she calls him. Elsewhere in the castle, Sadia thinks about how it's been 15 years since William first came to the village. Sadia then remembers the time when she decided to name him William and wanted to at least name him, since she wasn't allowed to take care of him. One day, while taking care of him, Hinori mentioned how he never cries and laughs a lot instead. However, she liked it as this made it easier for them to take care of William. The spirit sitting next to her mentioned how Hinori came to see William even though it was not her turn, to which Hinori replied by saying that she couldn't help it because William was just so cute. A few days later, Sadia was in her room, dying to just leave her duties as a queen and become William's mother. Just then, Jenny came running into her room, informing Sadia that William is acting strange. He keeps crying, and it seems like he's in pain. Elsewhere, the spirits responsible for taking care of William also begin to panic, as William has never cried so much before. Before long, Sadia appears, asking them what happened. She was informed that he started crying earlier, but they don't think that he's hungry or anything. Sadia decided to switch places with them, and after putting her forehead on William's forehead, she realized something and started to tear up. This made her figure out why William was abandoned, and when the spirits questioned if she had found the cause, Sadia ordered everyone around the jewel tree to share the fruit, promising to repay them later. Afterward, she informs the remaining spirits that William's body is in a state where a terrifying amount of magical energy is starting to run amok. Apparently, his black eyes and hair are due to the large amount of magic energy, and according to Sadia, his magic power far surpasses hers. This magical energy continued to accumulate in an immature body and went beyond his magical capacity. With nowhere else to go, the magical energy started to rampage, and if they leave William like this, he will surely die. Upon hearing this, the spirits freak out and ask Sadia if there's something she can do. She asks the spirits to get a hold of themselves, reminding her that as his mothers, they can't give up on him. She believes that jewel fruit can make his condition a bit better, but it's still not a permanent solution. What they actually need to do is release his magical energy, and for that, a spirit has to make a contract with him. However, if Sadia were to make a contract, there would be no one to stop the magical energy when it's released, which is why she wants another spirit to do it. Hinori instantly volunteers to do the job, and once that's settled, Sadia asks Jenny and Miney to keep everyone safe, as there's a possibility of her dying while controlling the released magic. When they try to argue, Sadia refuses to hear any counter-arguments, and with that, the process officially commences. Unluckily, the first attempt fails as they need both the consent of contractors and the spirit. Until William agrees to do it, they have to continue this process again and again. Soon after, William's condition starts to worsen, and Sadia asks the spirits to run away from the village. Just then, Hinori intervenes and begins doing the process on her own. Even though Sadia tries to stop her, Hinori completely ignores her and continues chanting the incantation. Ultimately, the magic energy gets released and begins entering Hinori's body. Sadia starts to panic and asks her to cut the link right now, but she refuses, reassuring William that her sister will surely save him. Eventually, the process ends up working, and Hinori transforms into an evolved state, which comes as a surprise to Sadia, as Hinori didn't have enough magic to evolve into a higher-level spirit. For now, Hinori decides to talk about it later, as now they want to make sure William is safe and sound. Realizing that William's life is saved, a smile appears on Sadia's face, and suddenly, Hinori loses consciousness due to exhaustion. As she lies on Sadia's lap, Sadia praises her for doing a good job of saving William's life. Elsewhere, a knight is sitting in a restaurant, thinking about how it's been 2 months since the demon sword party entered the forest, and wonders if they should consider them annihilated. At the same time, William and the others arrive near the city named Faren, and Meldina informs him that the city is within the territory of the Bandit Kingdom, one of the few countries that prohibit racism. Furthermore, she mentions the things she's heard about the troubled child with black hair and eyes who brings disaster. But after meeting William, she believes that it's just a rumor. However, William denies, saying that he just lucked out and survived, as a troubled child like him doesn't normally last even a year. It's almost impossible to deal with for people from the outside world, and by disaster, they mean the explosion caused by magical energy. Compared to a normal human, the amount of magical energy a troubled child possesses is abnormal, and the black hair and eyes are symptoms of it. But thanks to the spirits risking their lives, William managed to survive. Meldina reassures William that in this country, he won't have a problem, as they prohibit racism by law. William lets her know that he doesn't care what people think of him, and since he's in the outside world, he'll just listen to what Meldina tells him. Upon hearing their conversation, Cornelia gets embarrassed for worrying about not growing up and mentions that she has to become strong both mentally and physically. As they get closer to the city's vicinity, William notices that the floor is made of stone and wonders if it's used to make boundaries clear. Meldina tells him the real reason, saying that by enclosing the city like this, it can be used as a barrier as well. William can't believe that this is a barrier, as Hinori can shoot magic from the sky and Radia can neutralize it in an instant. Annoyed, Meldina asks him not to hold this to the spirit village's standard, as the barrier set up at the spirit village is at an abnormal level from her point of view. Soon after, they arrive at the city gate, where a guard greets them and asks for identification cards. Meldina shows him hers and Cornelia's cards, informing him that the country bumpkin next to her doesn't have one yet. With that, they are allowed to enter the city, but since it's so crowded, both William and Cornelia start to panic. Luckily, Meldina takes a different route that is less crowded, and ultimately they arrive at the Adventurers Guild. There, Meldina walks up to the hot babe at the reception and informs her that she wants to register William as an adventurer. Some of the adventurers present recognize Meldina and start talking about her powers. Meanwhile, one of them comes up to William, asking why he has dyed his hair black, and tells him that adventurers are not that naive. When the receptionist tries calming him down, he argues that he's not going to let such a guy intimidate him. Ultimately, William lets him know that he's always had black eyes and black hair. This comes as a shock to everyone present, and that adventurer, Koza, figures that William is an abomination, saying that they can't let such a dangerous guy roam around in the city. Just then, Meldina intervenes, asking Koza not to make weird assumptions about his companion. Seeing that she's an elf, Koza figures that she must not know about the troubled child, but to his surprise, she informs him that she's already aware. When Koza begins to yell at Meldina for bringing him into the city, knowing full well how dangerous he is, she mentions that if William really were a troubled child, he shouldn't even be alive at this age. Nonetheless, Koza decides to leave the town as he doesn't want to die, advising Meldina to do the same, but she decides to take her own experience over his story. Once he leaves, Meldina apologizes to the receptionist and asks her to continue doing the paperwork. Following that, William is told to fill out the registration form, and once he's done, the receptionist informs him that they will issue him an identity card soon after. Suddenly, an arrogant man enters the guild and walks straight up to William. He instantly begins shouting at William, letting him know that he can't just do whatever he wants in this town. When William replies by saying that there's no reason for them to order him around, that guy becomes even more furious and tells William to get out of the guild to face him head-on. Once he leaves, William tells the receptionist that he doesn't back down after someone says such things to him and decides to head out as well. Just as he steps out, Meldina comes up to William, telling him not to eliminate that dude, making William wonder if there's something wrong with that. This forces Meldina to explain that taking his life in public is not going to help them in any way, and asks him to try to keep it down to castration. With that being said, William comes face to face with that dude who tells Meldina and Cornelia that he will not be kicking them out and will just stick to beating the troubled child. Annoyed, William tells him to come to him if he has time to talk. In an instant, another adventurer appears behind William, but William easily manages to dodge the strike and slams his face onto the ground. He then informs the adventurer that a surprise attack is welcome, annoying him even more. Seeing him even more enraged, William reminds him that he's the one who's trying to get in his face, mocking how even the surprised attack didn't work. This causes the adventurer, along with his two henchmen, to charge William, but he blocks the attack and kicks him quite a force. Furthermore, he runs towards the remaining two, and after punching one of them on the face, he throws him towards the other dude. Before the two of them even collide, William appears behind him and punches both of them, ultimately knocking them out cold. After that, William walks up to the adventurer and starts twisting his arm, prompting the adventurer to apologize for his mistake. However, William lets him know that he's not the kind to let an adversary go unscathed, promising to at least leave an arm intact. Seeing this outcome, the others start to discuss how ruthless William is, and he reminds them that they were the ones who started this, telling them to face him if he doesn't like it. Once they are done, William once again enters the guild and finds an elf who asks William to tell him the story. Curious, William asks who he is, and the elf introduces himself as Shazar, the guild master. William then informs him that the adventurer got tangled up with him and attacked him, so he just returned the favor. Shazar reassures William that he's not going to charge him with that, and asks how he was able to grow up properly despite being a troubled child. He insists that William tell him the story, promising to take steps within the guild so that he and his friends are treated badly. Eventually, William agrees and asks Shazar to prepare a large space since he wants to prove that his story is true. Additionally, William tells Shazar to let others who want to hear the story participate as well, because it's a hassle for him to explain things again and again. Shazar agrees to his request, while William decides to learn the rules of the guild while things are being set up. Before leaving, Shazar asks a worker to serve him some tea, and after seeing how much of a barbaric man he is, she is a little scared to do so. Soon after, quite an audience is gathered, and wanting to get into the conversation quickly, William asks Shazar to take him to the training facility. Once they reach the facility, William informs everyone that he will answer all their questions together, telling them not to interrupt him in the midst of the story. With that, William starts off by mentioning the knowledge humans have about a troubled child and asks if someone has a question. One of the townsfolk tells William that the disaster normally occurs within a year's time, and that doesn't explain how he is growing steadily. Upon hearing this, William decides to back his words with proof and asks Shazar if he doesn't mind him shouting. After receiving confirmation, William starts chanting the incantation and summons Hinori straight from the spirit village. While everyone is shocked to see him summon a higher spirit so easily, Hinori tells William how glad she is to be called by him and asks the girls if they are getting along. Both Meldina and Cornelia reassure Hinori that William has been helping them a lot, and on the other hand, Shazar asks William if that was a summoning spell and assumes that she's a higher spirit. But before continuing the explanation, William informs Shazar that Hinori is not a higher spirit but a spirit beast, an existence even higher than the higher-ranking spirits. A man from the audience intervenes, saying that there's no way a dimwit loser like him can sign a contract with such a baddie. This makes Hinori furious, and she tells that man to shut up, saying that she won't tolerate any insults to her master. That dude gets terrified to the point that he ends up losing consciousness, and in an attempt to de-escalate the situation, Shazar asks Hinori to calm down her anger, promising never to let such a thing happen again. William also asks Hinori to forgive him, and eventually she agrees, warning them that there won't be a next time. Afterward, William finishes telling them the whole story and asks Shazar to keep his promise. This reminds Shazar that William asked him to avoid excessive interaction with William and his friends. Following that, the representative of the town, named Sierra, promises to assist William, as does the blacksmith, the merchant guildmaster, and the diplomat. William informs them that he's planning to use this city as his base for a while and lets them know that he will be counting on them. Once everything is settled, Hinori decides to return. William thanks her for coming, and she reassures him to count on her to lend a hand. Before going back, Hinori asks Meldina and Cornelia to get along with William, and just like that, she returns. Lastly, Shazar apologizes to William for what happened earlier and hands him the identification card. After leaving the guild, Meldina suggests turning in for the day and staying the night in an inn. The three of them are welcomed by the inn owner, who informs them that rooms are available for 5 silvers a night. Meldina asks for 2 rooms but realizes that she doesn't have her wallet, as it was taken by the mercenaries. Ultimately, William pays up and books the rooms for 5 days, causing the inn owner to praise William for paying for the broke babes. Following that, he calls his daughter to show them the rooms, and while she's shocked to see a black-haired dude, the girl keeps a smile on her face and takes them to their room. On their way, Meldina apologizes for making him pay, and once they are settled inside their rooms, William knocks on the girl's room, wanting to talk about something. Curious, Meldina wonders if he needs help with something, but William lets her know that he wants to teach Cornelia how to fight, starting tomorrow. But first, he needs to get an idea of how much she already knows and the experience she has. She then invites him inside, and a bright smile appears on Cornelia's face after finding out that her training session will begin soon. To start things off, William asks her about her prior knowledge regarding fighting and physical strengthening. However, Cornelia doesn't seem to have any experience and only knows how to hide like a rat while Meldina fights the enemies. As for physical strengthening, she only knows the spell that increases one's physical abilities. Upon hearing this, William decides to start with the very basics and gets asked by Meldina to let her listen in too, as there could be a difference between the physical strengthening she knows and the one he does. With that, William begins by explaining that physical strengthening enhances physical abilities. If she has strength equal to 1, physical strengthening can increase it to 3 or 4. But the limits vary for each person, and if she enhances her body past those limits, she might damage it. This comes as a shock to Meldina, as she thinks it's a spell more suited for warriors and will have greater effects compared to mages or healers. William agrees, saying that those limits each person has are just the limit of what each person can endure. Warriors can normally endure more because their bodies are normally jacked. William then asks Cornelia what she will do if she's carrying a thing in a vessel that's about to break. She replies by saying that carrying it slowly would be the ideal choice. Although Meldina gets the answer right, William tells her not to say it and tells Cornelia that the vessel might still break if she moves it slowly and puts more things in it. Ultimately, she gets the answer right and tells William that she will just make the vessel stronger. He pats her head for getting it right and informs her that if she strengthens her body, it won't get damaged. On the other hand, Meldina gets annoyed as what she's already learned is messing with William's teaching. Seeing her, Cornelia realizes that Meldina understood everything just by hearing about it, and gets told by William that she already knows the basics, and Cornelia might be able to master it quickly because she doesn't know anything yet. The following morning, training begins, and while teaching Cornelia swordsmanship, William asks her not to focus too much on her opponent, as it's making her lose control of her mana. Before long, she starts getting dizzy and falls to the ground. As he heals her, William advises her to keep circulating mana even if she can't move. This way, her stamina will recover faster. Soon after, Meldina also appears and praises William's mana control, as normal people convert mana to others slower than a grandma's typing speed. William informs her that the spirits have shared mana with her since he was little, so matching the quality of mana to theirs is easy for him. This makes Miss Leo ask if he could give her mana as well, and while William agrees, he warns her that after receiving it from him, she might not be able to receive mana from Meldina anymore. When Meldina asks the reason behind it, William questions her about the reason a contractor and a spirit can share mana. This reminds Meldina of the bond she felt while forming the contract, but she didn't think of it much. William explains that this bond is called resonance and causes the contractor and spirit to connect at the soul. Through this connection, the two of them can share mana with each other. Following that, he tells Cornelia that training is over for today and advises her to use a weapon to make up for her stunted growth. Miss Leo suggests giving her a bow, but William argues by saying that giraffes normally have massive hunkers, and if she were to shoot a bow with the technique she learns now, Cornelia could slice off her milk factories. He then suggests using a spear or an axe, as according to William, the spear is easier to handle while the axe has more destructive power. Cornelia decides to go with an axe, and when Meldina mentions that a spear could be better for her since it's easy to use, Cornelia says that, since she has never held a weapon, no matter which she chooses, it will be difficult for her at first. William agrees, saying that they will start axe training tomorrow, prompting Meldina to ask if it's all right, as she's never seen him use an axe before. But to her surprise, William seems to have a basic grasp on every weapon as his family drilled almost everything into him. Cornelia then wonders if someone like her can really become strong and get hit, but William, who reassures her that he will see it through to the end, at least until she can land a hit on him. Following that, the three of them roam around the town to purchase a weapon for her, but even after visiting multiple shops, William can't find anything decent. Almost all blades had problems, as some of them were sharpened poorly and weren't uniform. Just then, the blacksmith William met on the first day, named Sam, ran into him. He questions if William is looking for a weapon, to which he agrees, informing him that they are looking for a weapon for Cornelia, but can't find any decent ones. After hearing this, Assem decides to take them to his store since his weapons are the best in town, or some might say, best in the country. With that being said, they start following him around and eventually reach a dead end. William figures that it must be underground, and Assem agrees, saying that he only sells his weapons to those who acknowledge it. Following that, the wall opens, and they all head underground where the store is present. After taking a quick look, Meldina mentions how none of the weapons they saw can hold a candle to any of these. Meanwhile, William looks around and notices some weapons in a barrel. He picks up one of the axes and tells Cornelia that she will be using this one. According to William, this is the best weapon in town since it's made of mithril and has the proper weight for an axe to show its full potential. Assem starts laughing after hearing this and compliments William for being the first one to recognize the axe's worth. Because of its dull color, many people think it's a failure, but that wasn't the case for William. Afterward, William asks for its price, but Assem decides to give it to him for free, as he had already decided not to charge the person who found it. Furthermore, dwarves like him worship fire spirits, and William has a contract with the ultimate fire spirit, so he can think of it as a show of faith. While William appreciates the offer, he doesn't like getting it for free, and instead shows him a stone. Assem is flabbergasted after seeing it and recognizes it as the fire magic stone. William then throws it towards Assem, making him scold William for casually throwing something so precious. As it belongs to Assem now, William allows him to do whatever he likes with it. Although Assem accepts it, he is now indebted to William and allows Meldine to pick a weapon of her choice as well. She instantly chooses a dagger, and when William thanks him for letting her get one for herself, Assem wonders if William isn't going to choose any. William informs him that fists suit him the best and decides to save his favor for another time. With a smile on his face, Assem agrees, telling William that he is welcome at his store anytime. A few days later, William informs the girls that the rookie hunter's orientation has ended, so they will be receiving their first work tomorrow. With that being said, the daily practice session begins. William tells Cornelia to come to him and thinks about how she was having trouble handling the axe, but is growing pretty fast. He then mentions that today's lesson will be about unity form, and when Cornelia asks him about it, William reveals that it's a technique that allows one to wield their weapon as part of their body. Eventually, the training ends, and William asks her to use her remaining mana to recover her stamina. At the same time, Meldine appears, talking about how Cornelia is getting visibly stronger day by day. William adds by saying that he thought Cornelia would give up right away, but her stubbornness has surprised him. This comes as a shock to Meldine, as she didn't know William could get surprised. Nonetheless, William then informs Cornelia that she has learned the basics, and the rest she will have to refine through real combat. Meldine is pretty excited since she will now have Cornelia by her side, and can't imagine a more reassuring teammate to have. Not wanting to be a hindrance to Meldine or William, Cornelia promises to do her best. Later that night, William is conversing with the spirits using telepathy, letting them know that Meldine and Cornelia can be trusted, as they haven't done anything suspicious. The spirits then inform William that there are no problems on their end as well, apart from a few intruders. William then reveals that high-ranking adventurers hold quite the weight and plans to become one, so he can have the forest recognized as his territory. Both Raidena and Hinori start to praise him for always having the best ideas when, suddenly, another spirit intervenes, questioning why William always talks to the older sisters. William reassures her that he's not excluding her, and she asks William to summon her next time if he wants forgiveness. Just then, William hears Cornelia shouting his name and is forced to end his communication with the spirits. Soon after, she enters his room, telling William that she is no longer a flatty. William replies by saying that her mana circulation has almost completely healed, so she is starting to grow again. Upon hearing this, Cornelia comments on how not only her chest but her whole body will grow big and strong. Her wish is to become a strong woman like Sadia and Hinori, but before she gets to finish the sentence, William interrupts, telling her to wear something or she might catch a cold. Simultaneously, Meldine comes to his room, looking for Cornelia, and witnesses her sitting down in embarrassment. She then tells Cornelia that while it's fine with William, if it were another dude, her cherry might have been popped till now. Cornelia argues by saying that she was very happy and wanted to let William know that his healing practice is going well. Knowing that Cornelia has learned physical strengthening, Meldine figures that she won't be able to keep her in place. William agrees, saying that Cornelia could easily give her a run for her money. The next morning, they manage to pick 3 quests which include gathering herbs, defeating stray kobolds, and walking pets. For the herb collecting quest, Meldine remembers that William told the guildmaster something unique, which he found to be groundbreaking and has been holed up since, researching it. With that being said, the three of them head to the receptionist, Celica, and hand over the quests they wish to take. Meldina informs her that it's William and Cornelia's first time, so she wanted to get a good start for them. Celica makes sure to wish them luck, and before long, the three of them return to her, making her wonder if they've already completed 2 quests. They agree and show her the collected herbs, making her surprised as it was much quicker than she expected. While she prepares a certificate for them, Celica mentions that only the last quest is left, and William suggests getting it done right away as well. With that, they all go to the house from where the pet walking request came from, and William lets the guard know that they are here for the quest. After reading the quest, the guard lets out a creepy smirk and asks them to wait for a moment. Both girls get annoyed after seeing the nasty smile on his face and figure that he is definitely up to something. William lets them know that he doesn't care about what strangers think, as he'll go crazy if he were to care each time something like this happens. Soon after, they are invited inside the house and led to a room where the so-called pet is present. The guard informs him that this is the Lord's pet, a greater wolf, and asks them to play with it to its heart's content. Seeing that William doesn't have a weapon on him, the guard asks him to go inside the cage. William argues that the quest was for a walk and asks if he just has to play with it. The guard tells William to just relieve his stress, and for that, he can do whatever he wants. Nonetheless, William asks him to open the cage, and witnessing how confident William is, the guard tells him to try his best not to get eaten. Following that, he is locked inside the cage with the greater wolf, and after seeing the condition it is in, William figures that it must have built up quite a lot of stress. William then asks the wolf to come at him, and without wasting a second, the wolf lunges at William. But just as it is about to attack him, William easily dodges, confusing the wolf as if something like this had never happened to it before. William then tells the wolf not to be scared, as that would just stress it out even more. The wolf tries to attack once again, but just as before, William gets out of the way in time. Shocked, the guard can't believe what's happening as he thought William was an E-rank adventurer. Meanwhile, Meldina isn't very shocked as she remembers that there's no way someone like William could get hurt by a greater wolf. After trying to attack for a while, the greater wolf eventually relieves all its stress and starts to actually play with him. William understands it must have been hard for it to stay locked inside a cage, and after playing for a while, the wolf gets tired and begins to cuddle with William. Unexpectedly, the Lord's wife appears, commenting on how she never thought the wolf would take so kindly to someone other than her husband. She then asks the guard to explain what's going on, and he informs her that these people came for the quest, and he let them into the cage so they could look after it. The lady argues that they were only supposed to take her dog for a walk and asks why he showed them to her husband's wolf. In a state of panic, the guard tells the lady that he made a mistake and thought they were here for the wolf. But William instantly catches him lying and confronts the guard by reminding him that the request clearly showed that it was for Miss Sonata, and he purposefully took them to the cage even after reading the quest paper. William further says that the guard called it Lord's pet, and in short, he probably just took William to the wolf because he didn't like the color of his hair. Meldina also adds that he brought William to the wolf, knowing full well how dangerous it was, and Cornelia also tells Miss Sonata that he told William not to get eaten. After hearing all this, Sonata fires the guard from his position, asking him to leave before the day ends. The guard starts asking for forgiveness and questions why she is standing up for a guy like him. Realizing that he doesn't know anything, Sonata informs the guard that William is acknowledged by all the top people in the town, and she can't believe he did such a thing without even consulting her or her husband. Once the guard leaves, Sonata apologizes to them for the horrible treatment and admits her fault for not informing her subordinates about William. However, Meldina asks her not to apologize and reminds her that the original quest is still left undone. With that, she begins taking the girls to where her dog is, only to stop after William reminds them that they have yet to take him out of the cage. Later that night, they all celebrate the completion of quests by chugging down some drinks, talking about the reward they received for playing with the wolf. Meldina adds how the wolf didn't want to let William leave, but calmed down after Sonata promised to hire William some other time as well. Soon after, the inn's owner's daughter, Lulu, brings some food and receives compliments about her dad being a great chef. Meldina then asks William about his future plans, and he mentions that his plan is to take more subjugation quests, as it's better for Cornelia to rack up some combat experience. He then asks Meldina to keep searching for quests while he continues being her training partner. Following that, Hinori gets summoned and is glad to see everything going well for them. Meanwhile, William is busy healing Miss Leo, and when she reminds William that she's ticklish, he asks her to endure it for a while. Hinori comments on how Miss Leo got very angry during their training session just now and informs Miss Leo that what William is doing now actually feels great once she gets used to it. Once it's over, he informs Meldina that it's her turn. Embarrassed, she tries to refuse, but Hinori begins tickling her instead, which makes her realize that this is what Miss Leo endures each day. Eventually, Hinori decides to leave, and before going back, advises Meldina not to just chant the spell vaguely, but also to pour proper mana as well. Meldina agrees, while Miss Leo promises to win against her next time. Furthermore, she reminds William that he promised to summon Fu, and he hasn't done it since. William realizes that he may have kept her waiting for too long. With that, she leaves, and William suggests getting back to work. Elsewhere in the Humanian kingdom, a man named Blazelard informs the king about the troubled child in Faren and apologizes for panicking and not getting acquainted with the spirit beast. The king finds it absurd that troubled children are merely humans with a lot of mana, and the people present nearby also start to discuss this absurd change of events. While the king doesn't mind him failing to get in contact with the spirit beast, he wishes to invite William to their nation. However, Blazelard believes that it will be a tricky negotiation, and he can't simply imagine himself asking such a scary guy for a favor. The king then decides to leave this task to someone else. One of King's subordinates then suggests giving William an escort quest or something similar, as it would be an easy way to bring William to their nation. The king seems to like this idea and mentions how they can even invite him to the castle if they make him guard someone important. While they discuss the person they should send to Faren, a thick blondie eavesdrops on their conversation and finds information about the troubled child quite interesting. On the other hand, William completes yet another quest and gets congratulated by Celica for getting promoted to D rank. She further praises him for not only completing them really fast, but also satisfying all the employers with his work. Meldina also mentions how she's proud as their observer and comments that she can now finally join them as a fellow party member. Cornelia is also excited by the fact that she gets to work with Meldina now. Lastly, Celica asks if they have time to talk right now, and when William agrees, she informs them that the guild master wants to talk with them. She then takes them to Shazar's room, letting him know that she has brought William's party like he asked. But as soon as they enter the room, all three of them are shocked to see Shazar looking like a corpse that was left unattended. He starts off by congratulating William on the rank up. Curious, Meldina asks why he has those awful dark circles under his eyes, and Shazar informs them that he's been super busy ever since William told him about the Luona herbs. Additionally, he asks William if he's sure about not wanting his name on the research paper, as it could earn him quite a lot of fame. William agrees, saying that he likes working as an adventurer and actually prefers to keep it anonymous. Not only that, but he wouldn't even mind if Shazar took all the credit for it. But Shazar refuses, saying that he wouldn't do something so brazen like that, and decides to keep it anonymous. After that, he mentions that the reason he called them was that he wanted them to take care of some bandits. Currently, no C-rankers are available, and when he asked the higher-ranked adventurers, they all refused. Since both William and Cornelia have strength at least on par with C-rank, he wants them to do it. William instantly decides to accept it and asks the girls about their opinion. When they agree, William gives Shazar the green light, asking him to fill them in on the details. Later that day, the three of them arrived at the spot where merchants were attacked. Meldina informs them that it's been 2 days since the attack, and while the merchants managed to get away, the two adventurers' escorts lost their lives. William believes that the bandits could be resting nearby after a successful attack and decides to settle it tonight. When Meldina questions how they are supposed to search for them, William tells her not to worry, as he will summon a reliable ally. With that being said, William begins chanting the summoning spell and ultimately summons a spirit from his village. Suddenly, she disappears and reappears behind William. The spirit named Fu begins hugging and smelling William, and when he lets her know that he must smell like a sweaty sock, Fu mentions that she actually likes it. He then introduces her as Fumir to the girls, telling them that she can control the wind. Furthermore, she is like a little sister to him and the other girls. Fumir also adds that she has heard of them from her sisters and lets them know that she won't allow them to steal the position of being the little sister. Both Meldina and Cornelia make sure to introduce themselves as well, but Fumir asks them to just call her Fu like the others. This reminds Miss Elio that Meldina calls her spirit as well and advises her to just call her Mio from now on. Now that they are done with the introductions, William tells Fumir that he has a favor to ask and informs her that there was a battle 2 days ago, and he wants her to track down the scent of blood. However, Fumir's nose ultimately gives up after smelling the rotten cheese smell coming from William, and she falls to the ground. William reassures her that she doesn't have to do it if she doesn't want to, but she decides to do it anyway. However, if she were to find the target, Fumir wants William to mark her with his scent. William instantly agrees to do it, and with that, she begins doing her job. Before long, Fumir manages to find the scent of the bandits, informing William that there are about 32 of them, adding the fact that they all stink. As the 4 of them walk closer, they start to see the campsite of those bandits. Realizing that none of them are on guard, William figures that an ambush would be easy to pull off. Meldina agrees, saying that while only 2 people are on watch, the rest are making a ruckus. Suddenly, Cornelia is about to scream in terror, and just in time, William shuts her mouth. He realizes that she must have a problem dealing with guys like that since she was previously caught by such people. However, this training is to overcome trauma, and William tells Cornelia that Meldin will go with her while he and Fumir will provide support. Seeing that Cornelia is still scared out of her mind, William lets her know that for real combat, Meldina and he won't always be by her side, and if she doesn't overcome her trauma, it will lead to her making a critical mistake. Meldina agrees with William, telling Cornelia that if she wishes to become an adventurer, she can't keep avoiding such situations. This situation makes Cornelia realize that she thought she had gotten strong, but in reality, she was just naive. But what she wants the most is to stand by Meldina's side and catch up to William, and in order to do it, she decides to give this quest a try. After letting the others know that she has made up her mind, Cornelia bites her lips in rage, and William compliments her for having that look in her eyes. With that being said, they all prepare for the ambush. Cornelia is then told to take the lead, and while she is scared and wishes to run away, she has already made up her mind and is aware of how much she'd hate getting protected all the time. To start things off, Fumir uses a magic spell named Silent Move, and at the same time, Cornelia throws a stone towards one of the bandits on watch. While he's distracted, she jumps on him, and after grabbing his neck, she chokes him to death. Meanwhile, the other bandit on guard is taken out by Meldina, who stabs him in the neck. No matter how loud they scream, no one is able to hear them thanks to Fumir's magic that she used earlier. Once the bandits on watch have been taken care of, Meldina uses her spell named Aqua Bind to restrict some of the bandits sitting nearby. This gives Cornelia the chance to run at them, and William makes sure to throw her trusty axe towards Cornelia. As soon as she gets her hands on the axe, Cornelia slices one of the bandits in half. Following that, Meldina uses another spell named Aqua Lance to pierce their bodies using a high-pressure water beam. Terrified, one of them tries running away but is stopped by Fumir, who is furious at the fact that she couldn't smell William enough because of them. Using a magic spell named Ripper Field, she cuts him into bite-sized pieces, commenting on how he smells even after death. The remaining bandits are shocked by how these fragile-looking girls are defeating all of them and decide to fight back, telling the girls that they will cut off their limbs. Meldina replies by using another one of her spells, named Needle Rain, which rains down sharp needles on those bandits. Using the chance that Meldina created, Cornelia slashes as many bandits as she can find. Ultimately, the remaining ones are tied down and told to stay put until the guild people come. Furthermore, William promises to end their lives if they try to resist or run away. Furious, one of the bandits argues by mocking William for hiding behind the huzz and letting them do all the heavy work. They figure that William must be a weakling, and seeing their confident attitude, William decides to fight them on his own, promising to let them go if they were to win. The bandits instantly take the offer and charge William, prepared to end his life. But just when their swords are about to strike him, William disappears, and after reappearing in front of one of the bandits, he knees his chopped face. Simultaneously, William grabs the other two bandits by their hair and slams them onto the ground. For that one remaining bandit, William kicks a stone with enough force that it pierces through his head, sending him to the underworld. However, he doesn't stop there and continues to slash their heads and throw daggers at their faces. Seeing this massacre, some of the bandits try to surrender, promising to do anything if he spares them, but William still cuts them in half, reminding them that they already made their choice. While it was a pain for him to eliminate so many of these bandits, William figures that it was a good way to spend some time and asks the remaining bandits about what they wish to do. As expected, they instantly bow down in front of William, asking him to spare them. William agrees and asks the girls to grab anything that could be used as evidence while he decides to watch over the bandits. Later at the guild, Celica asks all the adventurers who are available to leave at once. Surprisingly, all of them are happy to see the type of quests they are getting, as it's pretty rare to find ones this good. Seeing that it's a pretty sudden quest, Shazar decides to tag along as well, asking Meldina and Cornelia to show him the way. As soon as the adventurer arrives at the hideout, they are shocked to see the mutilated corpses of the bandits. William thanks Shazar for his hard work, saying that he arrived faster than he expected. Furthermore, he informs him that there are only 2 survivors, and all the stuff they have stolen is present as well. With that, Shazar decides to make a catalog of everything identifiable and tells the adventurers to take care of the corpses. Knowing that they will be digging holes anyway, William turns this into a teaching session and tells Cornelia to make sure her attack permeates through the opponent's body, as that causes much more damage. Then he shows her an example by punching the ground and making a giant hole. She is then told to give it a try, and to his surprise, Cornelia manages to do it on the first try as well. After they all return to the guild, Celsina congratulates them for completing the quest and informs William that he and Cornelia are promoted to C rank. The boys present at the guild start to simp over Meldina and Cornelia after seeing their achievement, while the baddies begin paying more attention to William. Seeing this, some of the adventurers get jealous of William for always sticking so close to Meldina and Cornelia. Out of nowhere, Nanadora appears to show William her gratitude for catching the thieves who kept stealing her stuff. However, she's not the only one, as Sierra also arrives to thank William, and so does Assem, commenting on how glad he is that his weapons came to use. After hearing this, Nanadora begins to complain about Assem stealing a march on William, and while the two of them argue, Shazar appears and apologizes for the ruckus, telling William that they are all excited that the matter was taken care of so quickly. William mentions that he's glad since it was a good learning experience for his student as well. Nonetheless, Shazar then rewards them 30 gold for completing the quest, 10 gold for finding the hideout, 15 more for taking care of the bandits, 6 for burying them, and 2 gold for carrying the stolen goods. Suddenly, Hinori calls William through telepathy and questions how he plans to spend the money. Afterward, she suggests that he buy the 2 hard-working girls some presents, or at least 1 or 2 sets of new clothes. William agrees and calls Nanadora, who instantly stops arguing with Assem to hear William's request. He then asks her to find a nice outfit for the girls and take care of their current clothes, which are dirty with bandit blood. Unexpectedly, Assem intervenes, telling William that getting armor for them would be better. But William lets him know that Cornelia is still growing and decides to swing by his store once those jugs are big enough. Nanadora makes sure to leave some extra room around Cornelia's chest for the dress after hearing this, and asks the girls if they have something to request. Meldina asks for something with a mature color since she doesn't like bright colors. Nanadora then mentions that both their dresses will cost 38 gold, but since she has caused them some trouble, Nanadora decides to give both dresses for 20 gold. However, William argues that it's too cheap and suggests 30 gold for both, causing Nanadora to laugh and accept his price. After a few days, Nanadora pays a visit to their inn and shows them the clothes she made. Both girls seem to like them very much and decide to get changed right away. After they are done getting changed, both of them ask William for their opinion, and being the thick-skulled dude that he is, William rates them based on how useful they would be for battle. Both Meldina and Cornelia hesitantly agree with his opinions, while Hinori mocks him for being clueless about a maiden's heart. Do you think Cornelia has finally overcome her fear of bandits? Comment Spirit if you'd like a part 2 of this series. As usual, thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one.